What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another Friday night live, interactive sports talk. It's your boy, one half of the dynamic duo of sports talk, Stephen Box. Joined as always by my co-host, the one and the only.
Cool McCain.
And together we are the
Play
Play Call. So cool, man. We got a huge night of sports to talk, man, but we do have to start the show off with a little sad news today, man. I want to give a quick RIP out to Demaryius Thomas, who passed away. You know, man, 33 years old, man. That's crazy. I don't know exactly what happened. I heard it might have been something to do with a medical condition. So, you know, just a sad thing, man.
Yeah, from what I read, basically what happened, man, was he'd had an accident in 2019, a car accident, and he was having seizures due to that since the accident, and complications from the seizures is what led to his passing. So, bad to hear that. Sad to hear that. Condolences definitely go out to his family, the Broncos community. He's part of their Super Bowl team, so
Yep.
Has a place with them. Definitely, hopefully, he's a guy that gets into their circle of fame or whatever they call them they're in. But yeah, man, sad to see that happened to a guy like that. But unfortunately, it's the way things go sometimes.
Yeah, man. So like as you already said, man, just definitely condolences out to, his family and those that were close to him.
Yep, absolutely. And a couple of quick USA basketball information to share with every team. Reportedly is going to have a new coach, and that's going to be the Minnesota Lynx head coach and general manager, Cheryl Reeve. Obviously, she's going to be a veteran coach. Not going to go into too much detail today, but at least want to make you aware of it because it's something that's happened recently. And also for the men, the reports are the new coach is going to be Steve Kerr. So congratulations to both of those coaches for being able to be put in that elevated situation to be able to coach the greatest two basketball teams in the world.
And your internet actually broke out just a little bit right as you were saying exactly which teams it is that they're coaching. So if you want to just repeat that just so everybody hears.
Yep, they're going to be coaching the men's and women's USA national teams.
Cool. So yeah, so definitely congratulations to both of them. Well earned. Both really good coaches who have definitely earned those opportunities.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So man, we gotta talk a little gonna talk a little basketball tonight. We gotta talk a whole lot of football though. And we don't normally talk about this, but we're gonna talk a little bit about that game last night. First of all, man, Dalvin Cook, absolute monster, bro. I mean, they were talking about you being out several weeks, like pretty much like Yahoo Fantasy was just like this dude's definitely going to be out this week. He's not going to be able to play. He goes out and puts up 200 plus yards rushing. That's crazy, man. Just shout out to him for that accomplishment.
Yeah, I kept not wishing injury anybody, but I was like, yeah, he's probably gonna play, but he's probably gonna get a hit and be like, you know what, I'm just gonna have to sit it down for the rest of the game. Or maybe, Minnesota will take it easy because of the Scherzer situation. Neither one of those things happened. So
yeah,
as someone who had to play because it's a fantasy this week, not too happy for you. Still a big accomplishment. Still a big accomplishment.
Yeah. So on the other side of that equation is a team that I know we were talking a little bit about before the show, the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a team that's just they're not playing well. I mean, they got down 29-0 yesterday. Yes, they almost came back and they almost were able to tie the game up at the end and potentially try to force overtime. But they're just a team that they actually have more talent than the record would suggest. Shout out to Snowman in the morning. joining us over here in the chat, by the way.
Yeah. But yeah, man, the thing with Pittsburgh that I see is there's a couple of dynamics that's rolling into what we're having with Pittsburgh. Number one, and the most important thing, Ben Roethlisberger is getting near the end. He knows it.
Yep.
Anyone that has eyes that watches football knows it. They are missing, Juju. He was an important piece for them because of where he lined up and what he was able to do. He garnered attention in that offense. Deontay Johnson is a guy who has good games up and down. Same with James Washington, Chase Claypool. A lot of talent, but he's getting a lot of flack as well from former players blasting him for some of the antics in the game. To me, it's not really the antics. It's just a simple fact that you're not as good as you think you are, bro. Like, for real. Like, you're a solid receiver, but worry about finishing those routes, making catches, and being a better player.
Yeah.
So than some of the antics. It's okay. Hey, you get a big play. You want to gloat a little bit, but it's like everything. Like every first down, every catch. We don't need something, man. Now your team is down, and trying to make a comeback. Yeah. Let's focus on that first, man. And in the defense, I mean, they pulled it together near the end. But to me, that was more just the fact that Minnesota just basically said, we're going to run the ball twice, throw it once, and if we don't make it, we're going to kick it. Right?
Yeah.
More so than anything great that you did. Yeah. And you can't do that, first of all, if you're Minnesota. I mean, I wanted you to allow them to come back and win. Benefited, my team.
Yeah.
But as far as trying to win the game, that wasn't a wise decision. So you have to be harder than that. You have to play better than that. And you have to play the game from beginning to end. If you got to put up a 40-piece or a 50-piece on them, put the 40 or 50-piece on them. Don't stop doing what you did and start playing conservative. That's how you lose a game that almost happened to Pittsburgh last night.
Yep. I mean, bottom line, man, it's just, this is a team that for whatever reason is just not getting it done. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. And I think, like you said, it does start with Ben. We were both a little bit surprised when they didn't make any kind of effort to go out and get a quarterback in this offseason to, at the very least, upgrade your backup position. What's up, Tyler?
What's up, T.I.? Appreciate you joining as well, man. Appreciate you joining as well.
Absolutely, man. So right now, the playoff picture is not any more clear than it was when we talked last week. A little bit of shuffling, but for the most part, it's still anybody's race. Believe it or not, technically, even the Detroit Lions still have a chance to make the playoffs. That's clearly not going to happen, but they do still have a mathematical chance of making the playoffs. That would show you how tight. That will show you how net booty tight the NFC is right now for that 7th seed.
I tell you, man, the AFC is not too far off, actually.
No, they're really not. I think there's only one team that's actually been eliminated.
Yep, the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
That's the only team that's eliminated.
So speaking of the AFC and playoff seeding, so we had an interesting game this past week, to say the least, in the fine city of Buffalo, where it was snowing and they had wind gusts up to like 50, 60 miles an hour with sustained winds like 20, 30 miles an hour. I mean, just like, it was a crazy game. Matt Jones only went out there and threw like 3 passes. So you had this crazy game. And what I'm looking at, if I'm Buffalo, and what concerns me is, in a situation where you might get a home game in the playoffs in this same weather, or you might go to New England and have this same kind of weather, where you're going to need to depend on a ground game, and you got absolutely nothing out of your ground game. Nothing. And your defense couldn't stop the same play.
So this game has several different interesting things to me. I'm going to start with, You have a mobile quarterback in Josh Allen. You see the weather. You see what's going on. Why are you not running more? You are a big guy. You can take the hits. You can get out of bounds. You can run the ball. You know your running game is suspect. So when are you going to decide close games against a team that's not throwing the ball either? There's going to be some times where we need to call that, that quarterback run, right? Didn't really do that. So that's a concern. Play calling. I think you threw absolutely way too much in that situation, but I get it. You had to, but I don't feel like they utilized the screen, the short slants, passes that you still may have been able to complete to the best of their ability. So if you're not going to do those things, you're not going to be in a good situation. Now, when we look on the other side, got to give props to New England's defense. But what I want to say is all season, we've heard how the New England quarterback is the best rookie quarterback and whatever. And, it's not just the system. Mac Jones is a really good quarterback. We all know the stats that he put up for this last game. And I don't want to hear anyone, and I mean anyone, try to tell me that the guy that put up those numbers is the best quarterback. Even in that situation, Bill Belichick basically said, I don't trust this guy to throw but 3 passes?
Yep.
Come on. Your starting quarterback. He's not mobile. So all you did was have him turn around and hand the ball off Lord knows how many times.
You could have anybody do that.
You could have had me do that. You could have had Brian Snow do that, the snowman. You could have had Tyler. You could have had you. You could have had my daughter do that. Anybody could get out there, turn around, and hand the ball off and throw 3 passes in the NFL. So what I'm saying is, when we talk about the best quarterbacks, let's acknowledge that at least at this point, Mac Jones is a system quarterback. Mac Jones is not even asked to do as much as my quarterback is asked, your quarterback is asked. I'm not going to go through about any of the rookie or second-year quarterbacks. No one is asked to do less to win than Mac Jones. No one. When he's playing against inferior teams, he puts up solid numbers. Buffalo's a decent defense, right? They didn't really handle the run like they should have, but they're a decent defense. But Mac Jones should no longer be in the conversation as the best first, second, or third quarterback after this performance this week as a quarterback. System guy, great defense. Not a lot from Mac Jones in situations where it counts. Now, if you're a Patriots fan, where you're concerned is, what are you going to do when you get in the playoffs? Do you think you're going to be able to do that against every team in the playoffs? When they say, you know what, we know what the Patriots don't want to do. They don't want Mac Jones throwing the ball. If I'm the defensive coordinator for the team, that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to handle it? From what we're seeing, I don't even think Belichick believes that.
Well, if you remember back to the draft, when on this very show, I sat here and basically threw like a celebration when we did not take Mac Jones at number 3. And there was a very big reason for that. And then what I said leading up to the draft was, I would have been fine taking a guy like Mac Jones under 2 circumstances. Number 1, if we had stayed at 12 and took him, I wouldn't have been as upset about it. I still wouldn't have been very happy because my other reason for not wanting Mac Jones was we already have Mac Jones. His name is Jimmy Garoppolo. So the difference between those guys is Jimmy's been in the league a little bit longer, but they both, to me, had the same weakness. And that is when things are scripted out for them, when the script plays out exactly the way that it's supposed to, they are good. They can make all the throws. They can do all the things they need to do on the field. When things get off track, they make mistakes. Now, New England's won a lot of games this year with Mac Jones for the very simple fact that, as you pointed out, they have not consistently put him in a position to make a lot of mistakes. That defense has really done a lot for them. They've run the ball effectively. they've asked Matt Jones to make very limited throws. And when they have asked him to make those throws, they put him in great situations, which is a credit to Josh McDaniels for putting him in those situations to begin with. Yeah, I showed that actually earlier. Tyler's comment about the defense. That's what's kept them in the games, and that's what's allowed them to win these games. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Matt Jones has played poorly, or that you can't make an argument for him being the offensive rookie of the year, any of that other stuff, because regardless of how he's doing it, he's doing it. But if you are a Patriots fan, you need to have some serious concerns about what's going to happen when you get to the playoffs if people start getting you off script.
Absolutely, man. There's some weeks to see where they're going to land. Right now, if I remember correctly, I believe that they're the number one with that win.
I believe so.
They're 9-4. They're the number one seed right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this last 4 weeks and what's going to happen when they get into the playoffs, because more than likely they're going to at least get into the playoffs. Seeding, we don't know, but more than likely they're going to get in based on where they're at now. So with that being said, they're one of the teams that you're going to have to look at once they get into the playoffs or even down the stretch, because a lot of teams are fighting for their playoff lives right now. So it's going to be interesting to see getting him off script, making him win the game or lose the game for you, how that's going to, proceed.
Which a very interesting little fact here to think about. We've had numerous conversations on this show about how the two of us have never been in this boat of thinking that Tom Brady is the GOAT.
Nope.
So Matt Jones is putting up very Tom Brady-esque numbers in New England right now, while being asked to pretty much do the exact same things that Tom Brady did. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's Tom Brady, because Brady obviously spent so long in that system that a lot of what he's able to do, Brady could get off script and be okay. I don't think Matt Jones has that ability, but at some point, though, we need to maybe acknowledge, because, everybody was so quick. See, it wasn't Belichick, it was Brady. After he went down to Tampa and they basically built a defense and an offensive line for him and gave him all those weapons. People wanted to discount Belichick. Maybe Belichick deserves a little bit more of that credit y'all were willing to give him after Tom won a Super Bowl in Tampa.
Well, they were definitely not willing to give him pretty much anything after Tom won in Tampa. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said after Brady won, it's a mixture. It's not all Belichick, because you have to have the right guy, right? And Jones fits the mold of what they want. It's just a matter of teaching him over the years to where he gets to the point where he can go off script and those things may work. And if he can do that, yeah, he'll be there for a while. But at the same time, if not, he may not be there for as long as you think.
Right.
There's a lot of football left to be played. He could go out there the next couple of weeks, blow it up, show everybody that he's the guy. It's possible. But right now, based on what he's done, especially this game, I just don't see it right now.
So somebody might find a weakness over the next couple weeks too and start to exploit it. We'll see.
That's
We
what you're
might
supposed
see
to
that as
do.
well. We'll see that too. So
13 weeks of tape on him now.
Yep.
Start to figure out some tendencies.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens, man. Should be definitely interesting going forward. So we can definitely come back and talk a little NFL, because of course we're gonna do our picks at the end of the show as well.
Of course.
But gotta flip over to a different football right now, because we need to talk about this Final Four and the college football playoff system. Look, first and foremost, Georgia, you went out there and you played scared. They did. They went out there and played scared. I actually don't even think that Georgia deserved to be in the playoffs. Now, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that. I put that on my Facebook, and people about lost their minds. So how can you say that? My thought process is very simple. You were the number one team, but you mostly earned that ranking by the fact that you were beating up on a bunch of teams that ended up not being that good. And how do we know they ended up not being that good? Because by the time you lost the SEC championship, none of those teams were in the top 20 anymore. Also, the one team that we really thought you deserved credit for beating, Clemson, turned out to be a dumpster fire this year. So Georgia did not beat anybody impressive at all for the entire season. As far as I'm concerned, what we saw against Alabama was the real Georgia. They got exposed. And that team didn't look like one of the top 4 teams in college football to me.
Well, here's the thing, man. This is what I've said several times. You've agreed, but I think where you're coming from, I can see. But here's the reality. And I said this on Snowman in the Morning show in the comments the other day. The college football playoffs is Alabama plus the next best team in the SEC and 2 up for grab spots. That's basically what it is, 2 at-large bids. I consider it. The reason being, there was never a situation, unless Alabama lost a second time badly, where they were not going to be in this top 4. There was never a situation where Georgia wasn't going to be in this top 4 because the people that made the decisions decided that before Georgia and Alabama played. They did not care the outcome of that game, because if Alabama lost, what they would have done was they would have found some way for them to still be 3. So at the end of the day, it's always Alabama plus another SEC team and 2 at-large bids. Those at-large bids this year went to Michigan, who should be number 1.
Yep, they should.
And Cincinnati, who, if you're going to keep Georgia in, should really have been 3. Here's the truth of it. You wanted Alabama to be 1 for beating Georgia, your previous number 1, even though there were 3 before that. Michigan went and took care of business and didn't even move. That's a joke.
Right.
Number 2, you look at the simple fact. Cincinnati stayed at 4, even though they won, and Alabama beat the wheels off Georgia. Mm-hmm. I never had the expectation that Georgia wouldn't be in there. And I knew that if Alabama was 1, Georgia wouldn't be 4, because the simple fact is they don't want them to play until there's a rematch of the SEC championship game. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. Michigan's not going to lay down for Georgia. And Georgia's already showed us that they may not be who we thought they were a few weeks ago. Nope. Cincinnati played Alabama strong last year, and this Alabama team is not the same as last year. So the fact of the matter is, you're posturing, you're trying to maneuver the numbers to get Alabama and Georgia for a rematch in the championship game. You may not get either one of those teams in, because they still have another game left to play. And at the end of the day, those other teams are not laying down for them. You think Cincinnati's not motivated? You think Michigan's not motivated with how they were treated? They didn't move, and they both won convincingly. You think they're not mad? You think they're not motivated to go out there and put a little hurt in? You better think again.
I believe Cincinnati actually played Georgia last year. Yeah, it was Georgia. So they lost to Georgia in the Peach Bowl last year, 24-21. So, look, do I have a expectation that Georgia was going to not be in the top 4? No. I'm just saying they shouldn't have been. They didn't deserve to be. Do I expect Cincinnati to go out there and beat Alabama? No, I don't. But I expect that they might put up a better game than people think they will. But could Michigan beat Georgia? Definitely. Absolutely. And the thing is, man, like you said, they moved Alabama to number 1 to give Alabama the perceived easiest matchup in the playoffs against Cincinnati, and to make sure that they did not have the SEC championship rematch until the national championship, potentially. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there, man, and I hope that other people will support this if they're tired of this SEC nonsense. If Georgia and Alabama is in the national championship game, don't turn your TV on. Don't watch it. You want to stop the committee from trying to put 2 SEC teams in? Give them piss poor ratings and they will stop. Because that's all they care about. All they care about is the money, and money is from ratings. If half the country chooses to not watch 2 SEC teams play each other, we won't see 2 SEC teams play each other anymore.
Well, man, I'll say this on it. It's very unlikely that a lot of people are going to tune it out. A lot of people are going to watch it, which is the problem, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's 2 games that have to be played before we get to that. So if you look at those semifinal matchups, ask yourself, does Cincinnati have a good chance? I think they do.
I think they have a chance. I don't know how good it is, but I
I
think
think
they
they have a
have a
good
chance.
chance. And the reason I say that is Alabama's not really. I mean, Nick Saban, he goes in the whole thing about how, he's glad they lost and how they should refocus that team or whatever. They just lost Michi. So they're basically down to one of their top 2 receivers. The last time that happened against Auburn, they had to go to 4 or 5 overtimes, or I would say overtimes, but not really, whatever that crap was they did, which needs to change, by the way.
Yeah.
But they had to win that way. So you look at that again and you say, okay, Michi, both of the top guys, they were able to have a pretty solid game against Georgia, who, as you have been saying, was probably a little overrated. But what I'm saying is Cincinnati is hungry. Cincinnati has nothing to lose. Cincinnati winning this game is not anticipated. There's no pressure on Cincinnati. Nobody believes in Cincinnati except for Cincinnati fans.
Right.
You have an opportunity to go out here and put a blemish on the great Alabama.
Right.
That's something that Cincinnati is going to take seriously. Now, whether they're going to be able to do it or not, I'm not going to say that, but I think they have a really good chance because at the end of the day, you have to do it on the field.
Right.
Not on who's picked, not on who's ranked, but on the field. I think Cincinnati matches up well enough. They can do it on the field. We'll see if they can, but I believe they have a chance.
Well,
and I'll say right now, Michigan, Georgia comes with that mess like it is Alabama. That's an easy win for Michigan.
I'm going to tell you, if I'm Georgia, I'm going to tell you what scares me about Michigan. Michigan is not one of these finesse teams that you're going to be able to beat up. You're not going to lean on Michigan and wear them down. They might lean on you and wear you down. Michigan got some big boys out there now. They play big boy football. They're not one of these finesse teams that you're going to go out there and beat up. So if Georgia thinks they're going to go out there and, do what they did to some of these other teams in SEC, yeah, you playing a little higher caliber team in which you face most of the season.
So we'll see if Georgia's the same old Georgia or not. They'll let us know in their semifinal game. They go out there and they get abused again, they're the same old Georgia. They go out there, they play hard, even get the win or lose closely, then you're showing me that Georgia is coming up. So they'll be able to have a chance, just like Cincinnati, on the field to show what they can do.
Yep. So kind of shifting gears here, man. Last week, we did talk about a couple of the big hires that happened. Since then, we've had a couple more. Brent Venables finally has been lured away from Clemson to take the job at Oklahoma. So I think that's a good hire for them. He's a guy who people have been trying to get him off that Clemson sideline for a very long time. And this was an opportunity, and probably in all honesty, the only opportunity besides taking over at Clemson that I think he was really interested in. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like he's going to go to Oklahoma and have a lot of success?
I do. The thing with him is, like you said, he's a guy that everybody's been after, right? So when you have a guy that everybody's been after, it's clear that you believe that he's going to be able to do what he needs to do to be a head coach. He's a smart individual in that he said, you know what, I'm not just going to take any job. Right. If I'm going to leave Clemson, there's only going to be a handful of jobs that I'm interested in, and I think Oklahoma was one of those jobs. Yeah. And I don't have a problem with someone being smart enough to say, let me make that move.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with doing that. And, I believe, and we talked about this earlier too, I believe that in college, great coaches are great coaches, but you're great because of the pieces you put around you, right? If you're a great teacher, you go out and you find guys who can recruit to come in and be the recruiter for you while you do what you're great at. If you're a great recruiter, then you find guys to come in and teach and do the other pieces. You basically build a staff to make you the best that you can be and to make the individual pieces shine. So I think that that's what he's going to be able to do because he's a guy that seems to be real respected. A lot of people are after. So I'm sure there's a lot of guys who are like, I'll come and be on your staff.
Yeah.
We also know in regards to Clemson that Tony Elliott may be leaving, which is the other coordinator, to be the coach at Virginia. So they may lose both of the coordinators from Clemson this year.
Yeah. I mean, after watching Clemson's offense this year, I don't know how upset Clemson fans are going to be about that second one, but, we'll see.
Well, you got to think there's a lot that was wrong with Clemson this year, and it wasn't all coaching, right? The talent just wasn't the same.
I'm not saying that, but the optics of it.
Yeah, but Elliott's a guy who's been, the OC since basically 2015. So through this boom where they were doing really well, he was the OC. So clearly he has some talent, some understanding, and can run a defense. Offense when he has the correct pieces.
Yeah.
But I just think it's interesting that this is the year that both of those guys are like, all right, Dabo, we'll holler at you. A down year. So it may be something at Clemson that we don't know yet. And there may be an opening at the top of the ACC for another team to claim, or Dabo may have some position coaches on the staff that are ready to spend, move into those positions. We're going to see pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It is interesting the fact that, after Clemson had his one down year is when those guys both decided to bounce. Definitely makes you kind of wonder, do they feel like the turnaround is not going to be immediate? That they need to go ahead and take these opportunities while they had them. So, we'll see. It's definitely going to be interesting. Another hire this rumor to perhaps happen is Oregon going after Chip Kelly. And why would Oregon be going after Chip Kelly? Well, that's because they lost their coach. So since you are very familiar with that particular hire, I'm going to allow you to discuss it, sir.
Well, before we get into that, what I'll also say is Dan Radakovich, which was the athletic director at Clemson, he's also leaving and going to Miami for that same position. So they're using the AD and the two coordinators from Clemson. Mario Cristobal is a guy that played for Miami. He's a guy that was on the coaching staff earlier in the 2000s. I had said previously that I did not think that they would fire Manny because they wanted to keep some consistency with all the changing pieces. But at that time, did not know that Mario Cristobal was going to be in that situation. I think he's the one guy that keeps the continuity. He's had some success at Oregon. He hasn't won the Pac-12 or anything, but he's had some success there. So you think you take him, you bring him back to this program, you allow him to get the correct staff around him because he's a guy that's marked as a great recruiter. That's the thing. Hopefully he's good at other things, but the recruiting is what, that's the big thing for him. And one of the reasons why Miami's bringing him, because the last few years we've had some good recruiting classes, but we've lost a lot of people to SEC schools, to Florida State, to Florida. So you want to bring in a guy, if you're going to get rid of Manny, who should be able to go out and get those recruits and get those recruits back to the school. You can get the recruits back to the school, then hopefully, you can start turning things around. At the end of the day, his success is going to be rated on how well we play in the ACC and if we can make the college football playoffs. In order for that to happen, the first step is we've got to actually win our side of the division more than once in like the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that helps.
It does help, yeah.
I think Manny's fate got sealed when we lost to Florida State. Because Florida State was not that good of a team this year. And to go out there and get beat in the midst of momentum, in the midst of trying to still have a chance to win, our side of the ACC, the Coastal Division, we go out and we lose to Florida State. And not to take anything away from Florida State, you win. But I'm just saying, I think in the eyes of the people who are decision makers, like this dude is out here losing to Florida State. And some of those other games we lost that were close, he hasn't been a really good, strong coach in close games either. So there were several different reasons why which made sense to get rid of him. Big thing, though, is the way you did it. That was kind of cold-blooded. So, the next guy after Cristobal may not be as apt to jump on the job. unless you do crystal ball right. Because, dude, you got to let the guy know, like, look, we may be getting rid of you. Right? There's a certain way you got to handle these things. And it felt like they already decided on crystal ball and then got rid of Manny. And that's a little telling on the powers that be. But a new guy's coming in. He does things a different way. Maybe that's the way he does things.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the issue I had with the way they did Manny was it's not so much a matter that you decided to get rid of him, right? Because, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Manny did okay, but he was never a great hire for y'all. You know, um, he was a guy that you had some hope for in the beginning, but it just never materialized. So his value is as a defensive coordinator, not as a head coach. So I don't really have an issue with the fact that they decided to move on for him, other than the fact that, I would have been perfectly fine with y'all keeping him. So my issue is with the way that they went about doing it, where you basically were like keeping this dude employed because you knew he couldn't go anywhere unless you let him go. So you kept him employed just in case. And then when you finally got the dude that you wanted, you fired him like right away. So like this dude is sitting there hearing all the rumors floating around, everything else. He at that point kind of knows that he's on his way out, but he can't do anything. Because like if you're Manny, yeah, you might try to sneak out and go talk to some people or reach out to some people on the low. But guess what? If it gets found out that you're doing that, if it gets back to anybody and you don't know who might run back and tell on you, if that gets out that you're actually out there talking to people, and then Chris Paul decides not to come, and Miami decides to fire you anyways, or they try to go, oh, you violated your contract somehow, and now you're not even getting your payout or anything. So to me, if you knew you weren't going to keep him, you should just let him go. You should have just went in and fired him, and then started your coaching search and took the chance whether you was going to get the guy that you were going to get or not. To sit there and be like, oh, we're going to hold on to him and just see what happens. Y'all did that dude dirty, man.
I mean, hey, I could agree on how he should have been, treated in the situation. Not part of the back office things. I don't know exactly what's going on, but definitely a situation where it's like, you really should try to do a guy better than that. That's been there, that's been part of the organization. But the funny thing about it is it's kind of funny because remember, he was actually the Temple coach, and Mark Richt decided to kind of leave at the last minute. So we went and grabbed him from Temple and then paid that, money for him to get out of that contract. So it's kind of funny because it's like, it's kind of coming full circle on you. You kind of bailed on someone else at the last minute to come to the job. And then you got bailed on at the job at the last minute when they went with somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and we talked about that in the at the time that all that stuff went down about, there was probably some behind the scenes, May was probably going to Mark Rick and going like, dude, why didn't you just tell me you were gonna leave?
Yeah, but I mean, it happened. Started off promising, went downhill pretty fast.
Yeah, pretty much.
Time to read up, start it over. And we'll see what happens with that, if he's going to be able to be the recruiter he thinks he should be.
So got Marty over here in the chat from Intercept Your Lunch. Some of y'all might remember Marty. He's been on the show a couple times.
Yep.
Says that his Broncos are coming for you next week, man.
No, football team.
A football team. I'm thinking Jordan. Get my people's confused here.
Well, Marty, I'll say this to you, man. I'll be more than happy to come on next week and we can talk on your show some Eagles watching the football team. Number 2, don't count your horses before they're hatched. You still got to get by.
That a thing? Horses
are going to hatch. We're going to hatch horses today. Don't count your horses before they're hatched. We're coming up with a new one. Patent pending, baby. But anyway, you still got the Cowboys this weekend. You got to go out there. You got to make it happen. Number 2, you don't want it with the Eagles right now. You got 2 chances. You could very well go 4-0 or 0-4. So let's see what happens with you in Dallas this week. I got to be honest. I think Dallas is going to get you. That's what it is.
You know, man, I feel like these football team fans, man, they're getting a little ahead of themselves. And I don't mean that in like just to suggest that their team is like bad or anything. But when I look at this team, I'm not seeing like a juggernaut. But yet I'm hearing a lot of comments like I'm seeing a juggernaut.
You know, I'm not knocking the Washington football team because, like I said, they could beat everybody, they could lose to everybody, could be somewhere in the middle. But I will say this: time to be talking about how you gonna spank the Cowboys, give them that work, and then drown Eagles drown. Really?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think
Hey.
that. I think it's gonna be in the middle. I don't have them finishing out 4-0. I also don't have them going 0-4.
Well, remember the last 5 games, including this week, which will be 5 games. They have to play the Eagles twice and the Cowboys twice.
Yeah, I will.
So yeah,
I will say this.
It's not a pretty part of the schedule for them.
I will say this. I have a thought on who's going to win between the Cowboys and the Washington football team, but you got to stay tuned to the end of the show to find out what it is. That's how we do around here. That's how we do. So yeah, man. So that's a little round around the college football world. Obviously, you know, as we get a little closer to some of the big bowl games, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the matchups and what we're looking forward to with that. Not gonna have that conversation just yet. Maybe next week or the week after that, we'll have that conversation. Well, I guess it'll probably be next week. So we'll get into that a little bit more. But before we move into our NFL picks and any other little stuff you want to talk about, man, I want to switch over to the NBA for a second. And obviously, once football season's over, we're going to switch fully over to the NBA. So we'll have plenty of time to talk NBA. But I want to talk about my Lakers for a second. Because as a fan of the Lakers, I have some serious concerns. This is a team that, and look, unlike a lot of Lakers fans, you can testify to the fact I was never happy about this Russell Westbrook trade. I felt like there were better options. There were options that would have allowed us to have kept more people in. And I think it would have made the team better overall. So it's not working. You've lost a lot of games, and not even close games. Like, you've got blown out by really bad teams. They lost, what was it, about like 15, 20 points, I think it was, to Memphis without a top 2 people. Like, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. It's not working. And listen, I'm not putting it all off on Russell Westbrook, okay? Does he make mistakes? Is he, turnover prone? Absolutely. He always has been. Does he hurt the team by not being able to be a jump shooter? Yes. But guess what? You knew that when you brought him in. Westbrook has at least made an effort to adapt his game to try to make this work. The person I'm going to call out is Anthony Davis. I'm not even going to call out LeBron because LeBron's problem is he can't stay healthy, which is to be expected. Dude's in his 21st season.
It's been around
to be
for a
expected
while.
He can't stay healthy at this point. Yeah. So the person I'm calling out is Anthony Davis. You said you were willing to play the 5 in order to make this work, but you don't want to play the 5. And I told you before the show my thoughts on why that is. Because when Anthony Davis signed his extension, he came out and said, I would head and sign a longer term deal because I have concerns about injuries. What that tells me is you don't want to get out there and play the 5. You don't want to get out there and bang with people night in and night out because you're afraid you're going to get hurt. So if you're not going to play the 5, this is not going to work. There's no way possible that you can have these guys all together and Anthony Davis not playing the 5. Unless there's one other thing you can actually do, in my opinion, that could work, but this is so far-fetched, I don't see it happening. And that's if you actually move Russell Westbrook to the 6th man. Now, as much money as he's making, I don't see that happening, but that could actually work.
So who would you put at point guard?
All 3 of them.
Who would you put at point guard?
So my thought process is, if you do it that way, you could actually have LeBron kind of run the point when it's just him and Anthony Davis out there, and you have Russ run the second team, and you can leave Davis out there some with him. And then during the short periods of time where you might have all 3, then Davis has to play the 5 of those times. But I mean, that's to me at best a Band-Aid. I don't even know if making that move would even make this team a viable contender. I think at this point they have to look to trade.
Here's the thing.
I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Yep. So here's the thing with me. So your biggest problem with the Lakers, I'll illustrate for you with this very last game. These are the only guys that suited up for you for that game. LeBron James, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, Avery Bradley, Malik Monk, Carmelo Anthony, Wayne Ellington, and Dwight Howard. In case you were not counting, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Mm-hmm. So you have the oldest roster in the league. Mm-hmm. You only have 9 people that are available to play. Mm-hmm. The hugest problem with the Lakers so far this year is you don't have your team.
Yeah.
And because you have a lot of
I was just gonna say, I mean, realistically, should we be shocked by that? You went out and you brought in a bunch of old people. Should we be shocked that they're having trouble staying healthy?
Well, the funny thing is, all of them that are staying healthy are not the older guys. You got some of the younger guys that can't stay healthy either. Yeah. But for me, the thing with it is, you're going to have a complete complement because advanced stage players, they can't go out there and play 30 minutes a game.
Right.
For example, this past game, LeBron had to play 37 minutes. Horton-Tucker played 27. Anthony Davis played 38. Westbrook played 33. Avery Bradley played 29. Monk played 23. Anthony had to play 22. Wayne Ellington had to play 20 minutes. And then Dwight Howard played 10 minutes. So what you're seeing is you really only had 2 centers on the court. 2 guys that can play center. Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard. Anthony Davis does not want to play center. Anthony Davis wants to shoot jump shots and be a swing power forward. That's what he wants.
He wants, yeah.
This team cannot be successful as currently constructed with him doing it. On Anthony Davis and how he needs to step up. Everybody does what they always do with Charles Barkley. They bash him as a won a ring. But we're saying it's true. Davis has to be your number 2 guy. If he's not going to consistently be your number 2 guy, whatever trades you make is not going to help because you're not going to go out and get someone to be the number 2 guy on this team. LeBron's older. You've got to find a way to cut down on his minutes. I don't think you need to take Westbrook out of the starting lineup, but what I think you need to do is you need to find more time for Westbrook playing with the second unit. So essentially kind of what you're saying, but I think you can start him with LeBron, AD, and whatever other pieces are available that night that you're going to start. But I think getting him sitting more and playing with the second unit more would be advantageous because it can get him going. You get him going, you get him feeling good, you get him playing well, you get a different Russell Westbrook in spurts. So I think that's what they need to do with him. Trades, it's going to be hard, but if you're going to make a trade, I would definitely say if you're the Lakers, you want to get more shooting. Kendrick Nunn hasn't played for you at all yet. Right? You got some other guys that haven't played at all for you yet. Those guys have got to debut. They got to bring something to the team, and you've got to have more depth. You can't beat teams with 9 people. Oh, yeah, Ariza hasn't played yet either.
Yeah.
So you've got pieces that haven't even seen the court for you yet. The other problem is those are people that you expected to have a role.
Yeah.
So have the complete team,
Shooters.
The injury, and different things, that's going to hurt you. So I don't think you necessarily need to break the Lakers up yet because you haven't seen the full team. You haven't seen the vision of what they're supposed to be yet. But You got to do something to make it to that, right? So
Yeah.
I think you got to adjust the rotations. You got to add a shooter to the starting rotation. I know A.B. Bradley's been starting in the backcourt with Westbrook at least some of the games. Maybe you need to go and bring in like a Wayne Ellington or somebody that you can just put on the corner and say shoot from there. You're going to get the shots because Westbrook is not really a shooter, and he'll pass if there's somebody making a shot. Davis, it depends on the game. LeBron at times, but I think you got to get the shooters that are there amongst another guy that can make shots as well as Carmelo. You've got to get those guys in roles where they can make those shots. I do believe he is rehabbing in the G League. I do believe I did read that, Tyler, that he is rehabbing in the G League. But yeah, you got to get him back out there. But again, that's another guy that you didn't bring in to play 25, 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
You brought him in to probably play like 15. You got to get the whole gamut of people. You got to get everybody there.
Yeah.
So that's what you got to do. And, there's problems there. Vogel's kind of seats warming up a little bit, but again, you got to give him everything. You can't put a guy too much on the hot seat. You haven't given him what he needs to win. So the Lakers, I won't say they'll be fine, but you have to get everybody to find out what you have, and then to see if there's changes that you need to make.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, man, are really calling for Frank Vogel's head, and I tell you, the only thing I really feel like Vogel deserves a lot of blame for at the moment is this team isn't even really trying defensively. And that's kind of that's your stamp. That's your hallmark is that you bring the defense. And I don't know how much that is just, guys not having the chemistry or how much of it has to do with age or minutes being played or kind of a combination of different stuff. But defensively, this team has not played as well as they have in the past. A lot of this other stuff that people want to blame Frank Vogel for is not Frank Vogel's fault.
Yep.
It is Rob Pelinka's fault. It is LeBron's fault for basically nixing a better trade to get his buddy Westbrook to come out there. So y'all pointing your fingers at Frank Vogel, pointing in the wrong direction. If you want to talk about the defense needs to play better, and that they need to get more efficiency on defense, I don't have a problem with you holding Frank Vogel kind of for that, because guess what? That's supposed to be his thing. But you need to be realistic about what your expectations are about what this defense is going to look like with the team that's out there.
Yeah, he also didn't have you also have Kent Bazemore and Austin Reeves in and out of your lineup. So those are two guys that are actually important on the team as it's currently constructed. So I think when you don't have that full complement, it does hurt. So you got about 4 guys that you really are expecting to contribute that are not playing consistently or are not playing. So that's going to hurt. You're not complete. But like you said, you have enough to where some guys need to be able to pick up the slack at times. And you shouldn't be in blowout losses. Like you shouldn't be at this point. You shouldn't be in blowout losses. Like you may lose some games, but it should be games that you had a chance to win. Not seeing that right now.
And I think that's for me the biggest thing is like if these were close losses,
or at least not consistently.
Yeah, if these were close losses, I probably wouldn't be as quick to say it might be time to go ahead and make a move. I'd like, maybe if we're still not winning these games in January, that we need to look at making a move. But you're getting blown out by bad teams. It's unacceptable. So we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to had that little bit of a conversation real quick, just kind of about what your thoughts were and my thoughts were on what LA needs to be doing right now. Because I know it's something that's been kind of talked about a lot, but it seems like every single conversation where it gets talked about always revolves around Westbrook getting traded. So I thought it might be a nice touch to bring some conversation outside of Westbrook getting traded.
Yeah. Because, what are you going to really get at this point for Westbrook? Like, right? So, what's the point in trading him?
What are you talking about, man? I saw a trade. What are you talking about, man? I saw a trade where it's going to be like a 3-team trade. We're going to put Damian Lillard, man. What are you talking about?
Of course you saw that trade, man.
Yeah.
It's not a realistic trade, but you saw it.
I'm like, y'all stop.
Just stop your mess.
Yeah, yes, tell us so. Portland's gonna send us Dame to us, and they're gonna get Brandon Ingram. from New Orleans. Like that's not even realistic. You had to be a Lakers fan to come up with this nonsense.
A bullshit trade for Sabonis. It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah,
it would not hurt.
It makes a lot more sense than us getting Dame Lillard. To tell you that much.
Nuggets need to trade for somebody who's just a shooter, because our shooters are going down.
Well,
it's not even cute anymore.
Well, man, we've only got about 5 minutes left, man. So let's go ahead and jump to these NFL picks for the week. And anything else we'll have to talk about it next week. Y'all have to come back and check us out next week. So, a game we've actually already talked about a little bit tonight. The Cowboys at the Washington football team. So I'm going to assume, based on your comments earlier, you're taking Dallas in this one?
I am.
You know, for whatever reason, the Dallas Cowboys are absolutely refusing to acknowledge that Zeke is not 100%. And I think until they acknowledge that, they're going to struggle to run the football. I think they're going to struggle in this football game because of that. Now, Dallas will win this game if they wise up and they start running the ball with Pollard more. I just don't think they're going to do that, so I'm actually picking Washington. And
Tyler's taking Dallas as well.
Yeah.
I think I saw earlier that Pollard might have plantar fasciitis. So I don't think we're going to see fasciitis. So he may not play at all on Sunday. So, I think that you're going to have to use your passing game. And you've got Corey Clement as a third string back. So he may be able to come in and do some things for you. He's a good scat back, catch the ball in the backfield as well. So the thing is, I think you're going to have enough to beat the football team. And that's what I believe.
Sorry, I don't mind being on the island over here. So we've got the Jags at the Titans. I'm gonna take the Titans here.
Titans. No need for discussion.
Yeah. The Seahawks at the Texans. I'm gonna go
Seahawks. No need for discussion. Yep.
The Raiders at the Chiefs. I'm gonna go Chiefs.
Goodness. Yeah. Tyler took the Titans and the Seahawks.
You broke up there. I didn't hear what you said between the Chiefs and the Raiders.
Chiefs.
Okay. Got the Saints at the Jets.
Gonna go Saints because they're playing the Jets.
My concern with the Saints is Taysom Hill's finger. It's apparently a milder version of what happened to Russell Wilson. So if he has trouble holding on to that football, that could lead to some turnovers. I still am going to pick the Saints, but I'm just throwing that out there as a reason why this game could potentially go the other way.
Well, I did see the other game, and he picked the Chiefs, the Seahawks as well, and the Saints. If you didn't hear what I said that earlier. All he's got to do is run as the Jets. He didn't lose the ball much. Actually, he didn't lose the ball at all last week. But he's big enough. He can just run.
Yeah. Got a battle of 5 and 7 teams. The Falcons at the Panthers.
I'm actually going to take the Panthers on this one.
I'm going to go Falcons.
It's definitely a 50-50 game.
Yeah. And Tyler
picks the Falcons as well.
He's also taking the Falcons. And he also is Taysom Hill doing the ground and pound on the Jets. We got the Ravens at the Browns.
Definitely going to go Ravens on that one. Yeah, going to go Ravens. You never know with this season, but the numbers say it should be the Ravens.
We have the Giants at the Chargers. I'm gonna go Chargers.
I'm gonna go Chargers. Yeah. We'll go ahead and roll the Chargers as
Tyler's
well.
taking the Browns.
He's on the tropical island.
Yeah, he's out there on the island with the Browns. Got the Lions, who got their first win last week. And he's also taking Chargers. Got the Lions at the Broncos.
I'm gonna say the Lions do it 2 weeks in a row. I'm going with the Lions. Roar.
Please don't ever do that again, and I'll go Broncos. Because I'm not counting my horses before they hatch.
Well, hey man. That's on you, man. Better hatch them horses.
Tyler's also taking the Broncos. You giving the Lions 2 wins in a row. You're definitely counting your horses before they hatch. Got the 49ers
that's why the ceiling is the roof.
Yeah. Got the 49ers at the Bengals. I'm going to take my Niners. I'm going to tell you here's my concerns about this game and why I don't think it's crazy if somebody wants to take the Bengals. We are going to basically be starting like our 4th and 5th string corners in this game. And we also are going to be starting like a 5th string running back who hasn't necessarily produced anything. Eli Mitchell is officially out for this game. Does it also not look like Debo is going to make it back this week? So I have some serious concerns. I'm still going to pick my team, but I have some concerns.
Tyler's picking the 49ers as well.
Yeah. Got the can't run against nobody Buffalo Bills against the team that wasn't going to let them run the ball anyways, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Buffalo just had a horrible loss. I'm going to go with them. They got something to prove.
Yeah, I think they're going to have much better weather. The game is in Tampa, so they're going to be able to throw the football. I get them actually winning. Tyler, I'm sorry to say, JaMychal Hasty is not going to eat because I know something that the rest of y'all don't know, but I can't say it right now because, well, there's fantasy football stuff at stake. So I'm just going to stay quiet. But I know something the rest of y'all don't know. But JaMychal Hasty.
He's also got the Bills.
Yeah. The Bears at the Packers. Packers. Yeah. And Tyler, we know you're taking the Packers.
Oh, yes.
We got we got the Rams at the Cardinals. I'm going to take the Cardinals too. And by the way, for all those people that talked about how Matthew Stafford was, so bad in certain games because he was playing for the Detroit Lions, I'm going to go look at his record against winning teams with the Rams. It's also not that great. Just saying.
He is who we thought he was.
Yes. Then next Thursday, let me switch over to week 15 here. As soon as it wants to actually come up.
Tyler, we can't take the Rams just because you want the Cards to lose. Who do you think is going to actually win, bro? But I think I do that sometimes too.
I would much rather the Rams actually lose. I would actually rather the Cardinals because the Cardinals are going to win the division either way. The Rams losing is more beneficial for me. All right, well. So next Thursday, what could actually end up being a fairly decent Thursday in that game, we get the Chiefs at the Chargers.
I don't believe you. It's a Thursday night game. They're never good. But
to be fair, that game last night ended up being better than we thought. But
at the end, but if you watch the whole game, it was not good. I'm gonna go Chiefs. I think they're back and they're ready to claim the division. I'm gonna go Chiefs.
Yeah, I picked the Chargers to win this week, and then I can't pick them twice in a row. I'm gonna go Chiefs. Just can't do it. And Tyler said he's gonna go Chiefs too. Okay.
Everybody wants to talk about the Packs Cardinals. I'll give you that. That's the outlier. Take that game out, and what have we gotten on Thursday nights?
Yeah.
Trash.
Plus, I mean, let's go ahead and be honest. I mean,
juicy trash.
when you say great, was it really a great game, or was it just great in comparison to every other Thursday night game?
You can kind of swing it either way.
Yeah,
for me,
just, like would that have been like the match of the week? Probably not.
Actually, that week it probably would have been.
Yeah, just kind of a bad week in football that week.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, that's it right there, man. So those are our picks. You have any closing thoughts you need to throw out there for the evening before we sign off, sir?
If you are in the NFC and you are in the 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th seed, I'm hating. Lose. That's it.
Well, I only have 2 words for you. Yo, couch. That's all I'm saying. That's all I got. So, but yeah, man. Make sure that y'all go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're not already. Tyler says, "Tell Megan I'm having Wi-Fi issues." Okay, so that the message is for you to pass on. But for your other show that you're about to hop on,
Yeah,
because everybody wants a piece of one half of the play callers over here. It is what it is, man. It's what we do. It's what we do, man. Growing a brand over here. We doing it. So big shout out to everybody over at the Sideline Sports Network, of course, who helps present the Play Caller Sports Talk Show. So big shout out to them. Yep. And we will see everybody back next Friday night.
One other thing.
When it's live.
Big shout out to Score No Score.
Absolutely.
As well. Nice little application you can use to do some different things with betting on games. Check it out, Score No Score.
Yep, absolutely, man. So appreciate that. And we will see y'all next Friday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Box. He's cool. And we are the Play Callers.